We are live. Yes, we are on live Donkey Kong. Happy hump day, my friends. For those in the Southern Hemisphere experiencing Wednesday all day. Is today Wednesday? Shit, I hope so. I have to wonder why I'm going live if it's not. Maybe because I missed you all and it's just, how I roll. Yes, it is Wednesday, unless you're in another part of the world, and it's Tuesday, so welcome to Tuesday. If you don't know who you just clicked on, I am Aileen Day. I am the owner of Value Driven Brand and Meraki Business Solutions, and a couple of times a week I pop on and do a live, and we talk about all things customer, employee, and human experience. Otherwise, if you've been with us before, you'll know I call that the joy of sex. The joy of sex. So what we are going to have a bit of a chat about today is an interesting insight that came up for me recently. And it was about the perception that leaders in businesses, in brands have in regards to the customer experience, the employee experience that they deliver to their team. And I found it quite fascinating. So some context. When I was growing up into the leader that I am today, I constantly, and I am not joking, constantly was confronted with people saying, Aileen, you're creating a bad perception. Aileen, you're creating a bad perception. Aileen, perception is everything. And for a while, I hated the word perception because my comprehension of the perception that I was creating was different to how everyone perceived it. So I perceived my behavior quite differently to how other people perceived my behavior. And it probably is still something that happens today. I perceive my behavior to be quite raw and authentic, and other people perceive my behavior to be raw and heartless. I don't know. Not heartless. I got a lot of heart. I cry at ads, for crying out loud. But I find it really fascinating to find out that there was a study done recently where CEOs, 69% of CEOs surveyed believed that they were not just supplying and delivering a good employee experience, but they believed they were delivering a superior employee experience. So sometimes words matter. The difference between good and superior is vast. That is a spectrum if I've seen one. So you can imagine 69% of the people that manage the business, a business, your business, a business you've worked in, believe that they are delivering the bee's knees of employee experiences. So then a fun fact, a Gallup research poll then found out that only 34% of employees felt engaged with their workplace. Now again, that I would be on the opposite spectrum or opposite side of the spectrum to the 69% of CEOs who believe or perceive that they are delivering this superior employee experience. So what does that mean? Well, basically what that means is what we already know. The majority of us human beings, we don't leave a business because we don't like our job. We leave a business because we don't like the people running our jobs. We leave managers. We leave CEOs. We leave the people in charge because they're actually, in reality, despite their perception, they're not delivering a superior employee experience. And when you do actually deliver a superior employee experience, it's actually been found that those businesses, and I'm going to actually call them likely to be brands, not businesses, those brands can deliver 122% on average increased profits to a company that has a disengaged workforce. 122% increase. Do you know how much? That is so much money. That is so much love. That is so much engagement. That is so much employee loyalty. So initially when I considered what I was going to talk about today, I thought, okay, we'll talk about what it takes to deliver a loyalty-driven employee experience. But the reality is we've done that. And this is kind of partly the issue when you do this a couple of times a week, is like you cover a lot of the bases quite regularly, which isn't a bad thing because we need these messages to be reinforced consistently. Consistency is the key to any great performance. But I felt like we're going to actually shift gears and go back one more step. And I want to talk about what it actually means to deliver a management experience. Now, for many of you watching on, I can envisage that a lot of you have actually been in a management position. And if you haven't, then one day you might, and this might be some insight to heed. So, if you're online at the moment and you are an employee, I would love to know from your point of view, from your perception, what do you want? What would it take to keep you loyal in the role, in the business that you have? If I consider my my personal experience, and I speak for nobody else in this situation, but I would happily say that the reason that I stayed in Bunnings for so long, and I was with them for just over, it might have been 15 years by the time it was all said and done. Oh no, sorry, that's not true. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. I don't know. It was well over 12 years. Let's put it that way. Might have been Bunnings and Officeworks was 15 years. So I was with Bunnings for over 12 years. And the reason that I was able to keep that loyalty to that business was because I was consistently given opportunities to change what I did. And human nature kind of dictates that a lot of us can't continue doing the same thing day in, day out. And if we do, we probably become resentful and miserable and hate the experience. And that's where you get your mates who you say, hey, how's work? And they go, fucked. And you go, oh, okay. All right. Well, that was never me, right? Maybe I had the odd day, but consistently that was never me, because with such a massive business and a massive brand, hey girlfriend, it's my sister from another mister, with such a big brand, there was always that consistent opportunity to evolve your career and to do something else. And that was probably the thing that kept me loyal, because I was never getting those opportunities potentially anywhere else. And I knew that if I delivered a level of performance, that I would always get myself into a position where I could grow and develop and, test my autonomy, test my motivation, and deliver something bigger than myself. So I had a purpose. Oh my God, that shit makes me all like, woohoo. Yeah, I had a purpose. And I knew what my purpose was, and my purpose was bigger than me. And I had the support, and I had the drive, and I had, for maybe half of it, give or take the positions, I had leaders who wanted to see me be successful, right? And so that makes a big difference. In the end, I actually didn't have a leader who wanted me to be successful. And that was the crux of me leaving. And, I don't like talking about a lot, And I probably actually should thank the guy. I think I did actually. I metaphorically thanked him because it put me on a completely different path to where I ever anticipated my life going, and one that I'm eternally grateful for. But the result of my loyalty was because as an employee, I was always given the opportunity to evolve and to drive to do what drove me further. So how, as a manager then, do you do that for your employees? How, as a manager, do you get the support, or do you create the processes, or do you deliver the leadership that helps your team feel valued to the point of loyalty? And if you are a manager or you're online and you're checking this out and you're like, hey, I'm a manager, I want to know, what do you do in your business? Or you might own the business. And that is even more important, because I tell you what, the buck stops with you. Everything success-driven, everything failure-driven starts with you. The amount of consulting jobs that I've had where I've walked in and the owner of the company has the most bizarre and obscene expectations of their people, and it is no wonder that they're not succeeding. So how do you check yourself? How do you not end up being one of these 69% of CEOs who are, to be blunt, fucking delusional, believing that they are delivering a spectacular and quote unquote superior employee experience, when in actual fact, the statistics show that only 34% of employees are actually engaged in their workforce. That's 34% of employees at that point being loyal to you. Do you know what? Like, I don't do math, but I'm pretty sure that's like 66% potentially ready to leave. 66% ready to leave. That actually scares the crap out of me. That's a lot of recruitment. That is a lot of money wasted. That is a lot of heartache. That is a lot of pressure that you risk putting on the 34% who love being in that role, because 66% actually are ready to like flip the switch, flip the script, flick the switch, flip the script, whichever like little proverb you want to use. How do you stop that? And it really isn't much different to how a manager delivers, or a leader delivers, an employee experience. You, as the leader of that company, of that brand, and actually, I'm not going to call you a brand. If you have got a 66% workforce ready to just walk out the door, you're not a brand. Not a good brand anyway. You might have used to be, but you're not today. Maybe if it was the other way around, then we'd go, well, yeah, you're on brand level. Danielle, hey dude, nice to see your face. So what do you do? Well, really, the first thing you need to do is you need to find out what your leadership team value. And I know I harp on about this like day in and day out, and you're like, oh, not that chestnut. Well, start taking fucking notice of that chestnut. If you haven't heard before, you need to get on LinkedIn and you need to connect with an amazing gentleman. His name is David Allison. That is ALLISON. He is the co-founder of a company, a brand called Value Graphics. And I know we talk about, demographics and we talk about psychographics, but Value Graphics is the like pinnacle of that bloody triangle. And that is where you start to learn how to deliver that human experience that your employees, your managers, your leaders, they need from you to stay loyal, to create that brand, to create that legacy that you deserve. So when you consider what it feels like to work for you, and I put a post up on Instagram recently and I said, would you work for yourself? And it's a pretty straightforward question. Would you? I mean, I'd totally work for me as long as you could deal with the, occasional swear words and really loud laughter. But otherwise, would you work for yourself? What does that look like? What does it feel like? Are you a leader who shows empathy? Because I tell you, that's lacking in workplaces these days. And I'm not calling out sympathy, I'm calling out empathy. Can you be accountable and put yourself in the shoes of other people? Right? Can you consider what life is like for the people that you lead? Sit in that. Can you deliver processes that involve your team and help drive their skills and knowledge? Not sure? An option. Can you give them flexibility and trust them to do the work with appropriate boundaries? I can hear some of you going, oh, I don't know. My question is, if you can't trust your team, if you can't trust your leaders, if you can't trust your employees, what the fuck did you hire them for? I've been having this conversation about employee flexibility and leadership flexibility for so many years before a pandemic became a thing. Even back in the day when I very first became a mum. And I was interested in flexible working arrangement. It wasn't really a thing back then. So I would have to ask these days, knowing what we know now, if you can't trust your team to work flexibly with appropriate boundaries in place, and I'm not talking about micromanagement, I'm talking about humane boundaries, expectations that people can abide by and achieve, can you do that? Can you do that for your employees, and can you do that for your leadership team? Because I tell you what, that goes a long way to delivering an employee experience where you, as a result, have a loyal workforce. So there are a multitude of things that you, as the leader of a company, of a brand, of a business, can implement either before you get to the point of putting a team in place. And if you are at the point of scaling and you might go from working for yourself, or maybe it's yourself and one other person, but you think, all right, it's time to get big, then I want you to please consider what that employee, what that management, what that leadership experience is going to look and feel like. Because if you don't do the foundational work now, all you are doing is setting yourself up for heartache in the future. And that is not how we take a business to a brand. That is not how we build trust. That is not how we make money ethically. And we love making money. We love it. Right? But let's do it with integrity. Let's do it with some values. Let's do it with heart. If you haven't seen the podcast that I did with the sales strategist, Martin Eade, please check that out, valuedrivenbrand.com. Talks all about making sales, but doing it with heart. None of this like throwing mud at a wall and hoping something sticks. That's not how we roll anymore. It's not 1985. We are out of the dark ages, but it turns out customer experience is not. So we still have ways to go to move the needle when it comes to delivering an employee experience that actually creates loyalty. We need to close that gap. That spectrum is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So the only way these things change is by you as the leader, as the owner, as the founder, as the mover and shaker to create that change. And not just create it, stand by it. Move it, drive it, motivate people around you to live it. Don't just set it and forget it. Man, I feel like I'm rapping. I won't do that again. That's ridiculous. See, told ya, I totally work for myself. I'm a dickhead. I am hilarious. Anyway, that is my point to make. What you perceive to be delivering versus the reality of how your team actually feel seems to be hugely and vastly different. So if you are in a position where you actually already lead a team, I want you to figure out, and if you need to, please feel free to make contact. Let's talk. I want you to figure out how you're going to find out what your team want, how you can deliver a leadership experience, a management experience, and yes, they're slightly different, how you can deliver an employee experience, because as I've mentioned before, but for those of you who are new to the Aileen Rants show, that's what I should just call it, the Aileen Rants show, is that your team, your employees are your first line advocates. And that means you could reduce your marketing spend because your team go out into the world and tell everybody how bloody fabulous you are. And then everybody goes, oh my God, I want to work there. They sound so amazing. And all the customers go out and they do the same thing. And everybody goes, oh my God, I want to shop there. They sound amazing. And your marketing dollars go down because your loyalty spend goes up. And the amount of amazing shit that you do because you're making money becomes so much greater. You get my gist. Right. On that note, dude, when are you getting on an interview with me? Would love it. Oh, well, when you book it in, Daniel. I'll send you my calendar. The other thing before I go that I would love to mention is in the name of selling, and it's really one of those things I really just wish had come to me ages ago. But, you know, things happen when they happen. And yesterday I launched my new service offer, and that is that I am taking 10, I have made availability to take 10 businesses on as their virtual CX general manager. And if you are a business who watches these lives and sits back and thinks, yeah, that sounds great, but I just don't know what to do next, then please get in touch with me and let's discuss what that offer looks like for you. Because ultimately, you might not be in a position quite yet where you can implement a full-time customer experience leader, but that doesn't mean you don't need it. And if you want to continue implementing a scalable business and turning yourself into a brand, then customer experience, employee experience, and the human experience have to be at the center of everything you do. Otherwise, again, we need those foundations to stay strong. So if that sounds like something that is viable for your business becoming a brand, or you know somebody who it could work for, please have them make contact with me. You can either do that by emailing me at, I have so many email addresses these days. How about you can email me at info@valuedrivenbrand.com. That would be the easiest one. Or you can call me on 1-800-VALUED. That's right, VALUED. Who knew that was going to be such a poignant phone number 5 years ago when I got it? Some shit just becomes so ingrained in destiny. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. That is my phone number, 1-800-VALUED. There you go. I love it more every day. So if that is something that sounds viable to your business, please get in touch. I only have 10 positions available for that mentoring service. And once they're taken by the right businesses, those who are committed to creating change, those who want to deliver a trusted and value-driven brand, then they're done for 12 months. I won't have any more availability for any more mentoring or ongoing virtual CXGM positions. So I'm very excited and thrilled by that offer, and I am absolutely thrilled for the opportunity to help some of you in business just absolutely create the joy of sex beyond any others in your industry. And we will certainly close that mofo gap so that it is not a thing. And we're going to flip it the other way around and do even better again, because we don't benchmark. Benchmark just means you're keeping up with the Joneses. We're going to flog the Joneses and surpass them. All right? That's the goal. Anyway, that is it from me today. Now, just also, side note, we won't be going live on Sunday. For those here in Australia, it is Valentine's Day. It is not something I particularly care for, being, mostly single, but it is my sister's birthday. So we will be going and delivering a value-driven life and spending time with my family, who I haven't seen since Christmas. So we won't be going live Sunday. We will be back following Wednesday. And until then, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me live. I hope you have a wonderful hump day. Go out and deliver value for somebody else in your life, because what goes around, it comes around. I'm Aileen Day. I'll catch you next week.